Okay, guys, now finally we're doing a set of notes that's going to teach you the equations that you need to figure out how to hit the can on the actual challenge day. Now, yesterday, what we learned is that there are two different parts of this motion. So it's not just one big arcing motion, there's actually a vertical and a horizontal. So I'm going to write these out and I'll try to have good handwriting. Oops. So there's a vertical component. And vertical, remember that means up and down. And then there's also a horizontal part of the motion. And remember that horizontal means side to side. Ooh, that's bad handwriting. Sorry. Side to side is what that says. Okay, let's also remember this about the motion, that the vertical was speeding up. I'm just going to zoom in. Vertical was speeding up, while horizontal was slowing down. Nah, gosh dang it, it wasn't slowing down. I'm an idiot. Horizontal was constant speed. All right, so we've got speeding up and down, and then constant speed side to side. So here are the equations. For the vertical motion, speeding up, we had that curve, and remember that curve looked like it was a polynomial, or maybe even like a quadratic. So here's what it looks like. We have h equals 4.9 times t squared, where h is height and t is time. So I'm actually going to box that in because that's pretty important. All right, for the horizontal, it's even simpler than that. We have v equals d over t. So this is like the very first equation you even learn in physics class. Velocity, v equals velocity, d equals distance, and t equals time. Okay, so there's a couple things that we want to notice here that's going to help us when we go to actually solve this problem. So the first thing that we want to see is that the goal is to find distance, d. So the overall goal of this whole thing is to find distance. Now next, we want to notice that we are going to be given, so me, Mr. McSparron, I am going to give you height and velocity. So let's think about that. We're trying to find the distance, that's our goal. I'm going to give you guys height and velocity. So the thing that's left over, I like to think of it as the link between the two equations, is time. So the really big important thing here, the link, we'll put it in pink. How about that? Yeah. The link between the two equations is time. It's the only thing that's in both equations. Now here's what we're going to do, okay? So when we talk about steps for this process, step one is going to be use vertical equation to find time. All right, so let's look at that. I'm going to use this equation right here, this vertical equation of, here, I'll use like a highlighter. Don't highlight this. I'm going to end up, I can do this. I'm going to use this equation right here to help me find time because I know the h, and once I know the h, I can solve for t to find time. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, step 2, is going to be plug time into the horizontal equation. All right, so let's go look at the horizontal equation. All right, so I know that I'm going to be given the velocity. All I need to do is to plug the time in and then solve for the distance, and I'll know exactly where to put my cup. All right, so the last thing in here is solve for distance. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys an example. All right, example. All right, so I told you that you're going to have givens. So I'm going to give you guys right now the height is 12 meters. The velocity is 10 meters per second. All right, so let's follow the steps. So let's do this. Step 1 says use the vertical equation to find time. So I'm going to write down the vertical equation. H equals 4.9 times t squared. H equals 4.9 times t squared. All right, now I know that my height is 12 meters, so let's plug that in. All right, so instead of h, I'm going to go 12 equals 4.9 times t squared. Now we're just using algebra. I'm trying to get the t by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4.9 to get it away from the t. And let's see, I got to pull my calculator up real quick here, guys. All right, so 12 divided by 4.9, I'm doing this on my computer calculator, sorry you can't see it, is 2.45. 2.45 equals t squared. Now to get rid of that square root, I have to get rid of the square, I do the opposite, which is taking the square root of both sides. If you don't know how to do the square root on your calculator, then let me know and I can help you. All right, so I actually, let's see, view, scientific, and I'm going to square root that. All right, so once I take the square root, which again, if you don't know how to do it on your calculator, let me know. For time, I'm going to get 1.56 seconds. All right, so now I'm going to do step 2. Step 2 is to plug this time into the second equation, which is velocity equals distance over time. So let's go do this. Velocity equals distance over time. Well, let's rewrite it. I know that my velocity is 10 meters per second. So I've got 10 equals distance divided by, and instead of time I put in 1.56. All right, so I'm trying to solve for d, so what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 1.56, and 10 times 1.56, and so really I'm just doing step 3 now. 10 times 1.56 is 15.6 meters. All right, now let's go to the simulation and try that out. Okay, so we just figured out that if the height, if the height is 12, so look at that, I just measured out the height. So by the way, to measure, I want to put the bottom x on the bottom of the black line and drag the top X up to the center of the cross here. So I know that I've got 12 meters for my height. I've already set my speed to 10 meters. Now in the notes we just found out that it should go 15.6 meters. So let's do this. Let's try and measure straight out 15 point, let's see, 5'8", 6'4", 5'8" can be pretty close. All right, so I'm going to put the bullseye right about there. Okay, so that's 15.6 meters away from the bottom. I've got 10 meters per second. Let's fire and see what we get. All right, right in the middle. Okay, so we see that if we do the calculations, we can hit it perfectly. Now you guys are going to go try and do some calculations of your own. If you have questions, make sure you ask me. Good luck.